Hey you, Shiki here, and as you probably noticed, I'm a little bit Sonic crazy. And it struck me that I give my thoughts on Sonic stuff a lot, and we play a lot of Sonic games here on the channel, but you know what I haven't done? Is probably thought about trying to rank all of them in some way, like on a tier list. And I mean all of them. When I say rank all of them, I mean it. We're not just doing the typical list here. No. This is every single Sonic game ranked according to my arbitrary set of rules and opinions. There are over 70 titles we need to go over and decide once and for all which is gold and which is a turd in tinfoil. There are a lot of games to go over. Are you ready for that? Also, this is mostly unscripted, so I have no idea where this is going to go. You still with me? Okay, let's go. Now, before we begin, there are a few rules I have. Number one, none of the educational games like Tales and the Music Maker or Sonic Schoolhouse and EduSoft's games for the Sega Pico and things, and there was a couple for the Master System and for Windows, but those barely count as a game and are meant for 5-year-olds to learn spelling and shit, so that doesn't count. Rule number two, no mobile games. Sonic Runners or whatever, those are barely games and don't really count either. I know some phone releases of the classic titles did give us Knuckles and Tails in Sonic 1 and the like before Origins did it in anniversary mode, but that's just playing the classic games on your phone and those are on the list anyway, so they don't count as a separate release because it's not a separate game. Rule number three is no arcade games, although there are two exceptions, and you'll know the ones that I mean. Sega Sonic Popcorn Shop does have a little mini game, but it's impossible to lose, and it's just a glorified timer whilst you wait for flavoured baked popcorn to disappoint you. And the others are like a riding car for toddlers, and there's another one which is a treadmill for exercise. Who wants to exercise whilst playing a game? That's why nobody gave a shit about the Wii Fit. Oh, and also Sonic Frontiers, the newest game in the series as of the time of filming this. I haven't actually played it yet, so I have no idea. It looks amazing, but I can't rank it until I actually play it. So tell me in the comment section where you think it goes and why, because I'll be curious to see what your opinion is on it. Also, this should go without saying, these are my personal opinions. Do not get your knickers in a twist. If you really like Sonic 06, and I put it in the F tier for fucking awful. Although, spoilers, it's not actually going there. I know, shocker. I mean, still shit though, but still, it's not good. Anyway, you'll see. These are also in no particular order. I've got all the box art covers saved in a random order just on my desktop, so let's just go with whatever image is in the folder first and go in order from there, shall we? The DS version of Sonic Colors is actually really good. It's a different game from the Wii version. It does lose out on the Eggman Tannoy announcements, which are amazing, but that's okay. It's a 2D Sonic title that kind of really capitalises on the two Rush titles really well. And if I remember correctly, it lends some credence to the split timeline theory after Sonic CD, because Marine the Raccoon shows up and is mentioned, but isn't in the Wii title. If this is in a good or a bad future timeline, I couldn't say. We should probably do a lore breakdown on that theory someday, but it's not a bad game. B tier is where I'm going to put it. And the Wii game is B tier too. That was a bit of a fumble. It's what the video is going to be like. This is unscripted, so who knows. Knuckles Chaotix is extremely underrated. It's a lot of fun. The music rules, and each of the 5 playable cast have unique abilities that really blend in well with the other 2D titles, really. It's an amazing game. It deserves a re-release. I think it was meant to be on the Gems collection, but it got cut out, because I think some people found, like, promo art and, what do you call it, demo artwork and stuff, and testing things. Like, you know when you look on Mega Collection, etc., and they've got like sketches and stuff. They had some of that for Knuckles Chaotix in the files for Gem Collection, so people think it was meant to be on it, but it got cut out. so it does deserve a re-release. The join mechanic can be a bit rubber bandy, I guess. It's a bit choppy, but this honestly, get me words out, should have been the next game in the 2D series to progress with story and roster, so I'm going to put this in B tier as well, actually. All of the Mario and Sonic Olympic titles are going in D tier. That's Rio 2016, Tokyo 2020, Sochi Winter 2014, the other Winter Games title that didn't even get a region, it was just Winter Games. Beijing 2008, London 2012, a lot of these saw releases on the Wii, the DS, the 3DS and the Wii U. Beijing 2008, for example, is much better on the Wii because some of the speed required for the stylus control on the DS version will just shred your touchscreen or sprain a wrist of how fast you need to be. I've had that game since it came out, and I still cannot beat the mission where you race Sonic as Mario in mission modes. It's just one of the only ones in a game I've been unable to do because you've got to do it so fast and it just doesn't work. It's easier with the motion controls on the Wii by far, but they're just collections of mini games that barely really count as a game at all, so they're kind of mediocre and uninteresting. And as we said before, no one likes exercise and sport in video games. I'm gonna represent all of the Olympic Winter Games thing with just a single image logo type of thing, because otherwise it's going to get very crowded. We've got over 70 games if you include all of those as separate ones to cram into this tier list, so it's going to get very cramped very quickly, so I'm just going to choose to represent them with one image because it's just going to be easier for me in the edit, so please have some sympathy for me when I'm putting this together. Sonic 4 Episode 1 is fucking atrocious and I hate it. Shitty physics, way too short, underwhelming, and while some levels are pretty, the layout for a lot of the stages is just absolutely awful. E tier, easily. This game is really bad. It's also, just like I say, it's way too short, because they wanted to do an anthology thing with this, and they wanted to do Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3, just release it as one game. And it's bad. It's really bad. Episode 2 is also atrocious, but it's better than Episode 1, but not by much, because the fans got involved and helped them fix what was awful about the first game, so it's slightly better. It also introduces Metalux again, and I believe there's a DLC where you can play as him or something, if memory serves correctly, but this game is D tier. It's above the sports games, obviously. It doesn't go any higher because it isn't that good. And also part 3 of a trilogy never got made, so this is as good as it got. It supposedly carries on the story of the 2D games, but it doesn't deserve to. Sonic Drift and Drift 2, both kind of sister games really, go in C tier because they're kind of neat. Drift 1 was only released in Japan, and 2 did get an international release, and you can play it on Gems Collection as well, which is nice. They don't handle amazingly, but for the first Sonic kart kind of games, they were cutesy. They also take place in the 2D universe, and actually acknowledge Fang the Sniper or Knack the Weasel, if you prefer, because he was being trialled as Sonic's new nemesis for a while. Speaking of racing games, actually, Sonic Sega All-Stars Racing is... not much to say about it. C tier, but it goes below Drift. It's not that exciting. Has some nice music remixes, but it's not very memorable. Now, if one of the exceptions to the arcade rule, Sega Sonic Arcade from 1993, which honestly goes in A tier. It's really fucking fun. Cute animations, fun levels, it's a little bit awkward to control with a bloody trackball, but it's very enjoyable. Mighty and Ray are nice characters, you get to see Mighty and Chaotix as well, but Ray kinda got forgotten until Mania. I believe he shows up in the Archie comics at some point, because they're like the Team Chaotix thing and he's part of that, but that's kind of about it for game appearances until Mania came out, like 6 years ago now. Gosh, has it really been that long? Yeah, no, it's really, really fun. I've only ever played it a couple of times because getting physical arcade cabinets of it is extremely difficult. I would love to own one day just to have it in the house because I'm a massive Sonic nerd. But yeah, it is just genuinely a really fun game. Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, my girlfriend will kill me if I don't put this in S tier because it's her favourite, and she really loves that little edgelord, but I'm going to put it in C tier. It's fun, but it's really short. I know you're meant to replay it for different endings and things, but I don't enjoy playing it to begin with. The only reason it exists is because people sent in letters saying, hey, give Sonic a gun! It's needless. It doesn't need to exist. I really am not super keen on it. Going back to the racing games, All-Star Racing Transformed is also C tier because it's underwhelming. The transforming gimmick is nice at first, and I don't know why the TF2 characters are in the game. Or Danica Patrick, for whatever reason, is also apparently a Sega canon character now, alongside Football Manager Man. Knights is referenced as well, at least, and just, yeah. Apparently they came up with a gimmick idea for the transforming before Mario Kart 7, but that game was more fun to play, so moving on. Sonic and Knuckles. Okay, now we're getting something meaty. B tier. I love a lot of the levels in this game, and playing as Knuckles for the first time technically is a lot of fun and adds to the charm. I incorrectly called this the actual Sonic 4 in our Sonic 3 Let's Play, but I suppose you could count it as that, as it's the second half of the story for Sonic 3, and it got a separate release, but the actual Sonic 4 really is Sonic 3 because it released after Sonic CD, which would make this Sonic 5? Which would make Cortex have to be really Sonic 6? I don't know, it's confusing. That's also a lot of numbers. I call Sonic CD Sonic 4 because it's the only one of the quadrilogy that isn't numbered, and it's also ambiguous when it takes place. The actual Sonic 4 games we talked about before are shit, so they don't count. Sonic 2 is my favourite Sonic game. S tier is what Sonic 1 should have been, really. One of the best soundtracks, gorgeous level design, very subtle visual storytelling in places, Super Sonic's first appearance as well, which is iconic. I don't really need to say any more than that. Also, our Let's Play of it is very short, so go check it out, card in the corner. Sonic Advance is B tier. It's short but sweet. The character sprites are fairly detailed. It's fun to look at. They're very expressive, actually. When I was first looking at doing Flash animations, I took the sprite sheets from Sonic Advance and would mess around with them in Adobe Flash and things. Not that you'll ever get to see any of those because they're awful. And also now Flash isn't a thing anymore I can get anyway, so never mind. Yeah, the levels are fun, really detailed, the soundtrack is cute. We did also do a Let's Play of this on the channel, it's only 3 episodes long, but it was a fun time. We haven't played the other 2 advanced titles on the channel yet, but they're also going to go in B tier as well, but below this one. I don't like them as much. I like 3 more than 2, although 2 has got better boss battles. 3's hub world and character pairing mechanic is nice, but it's not enough to save it. It also has less enjoyable stages. All 3, like I say, are wonderfully detailed, and again, all the cast play differently, which is what you want, and adds some replayability to it, but they're very short, but they're short and sweet, so they're nice. B tier easily for all 3 of them. Sonic Adventure is also another B tier, actually. One of the few 3D games I actually like. It's generally enjoyable. The DX version is better, although it made some weird changes I can't be bothered getting into now, but it's an enjoyable game. It includes rail shooting, and I believe you can do snowboarding and stuff in it. It's other mini-games. And the different characters having different stage objectives makes you want to see them all and explore what it's like, which is nice, and the Chow Garden is cute. Adventure 2 is an easy A tier. If I put it any lower, you'd kill me. But it's better than Adventure 1, and it just improves on it. Bigger, better, faster, stronger, etc. I'm not going to sing. Then we come to the anthology games, Black Knight and the Secret Rings. E tier. They're boring and bland, and they're just dumb. I'm sorry if these are your favourite games, but fucking hell, are they just uninteresting? And they exist because Nintendo demanded Sega to create a game for the Nintendo systems back in 2006 to go along with the releases on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox. And the Wii, being a glorified GameCube with some extra bits on it, could not handle Sonic 06 at all, being on the Xbox and the PlayStation 3. And Nintendo were feeling left out. So they created these 2 turds, and shafted Sonic 06 in the process. One of the reasons why that game is awful, but the fact that these exist is just needless. They're crap, don't play them. We're going to play them eventually on the channel, but I've got them sat on my shelf right in front of me right now. I can see them glaring at me, waiting to be played for Sonic Saturdays, and I'm regretting that day. It will come eventually, and I will be in pain. Sonic Battle, overly convoluted, stupid story aside, is Street Fighter of a Sonic game. They tried something different with the character animations, etc. to show off the personality, although it's not that intense. If memory serves, there's not even any special moves in the game, no Hadoukens or anything. The stages look nice, but it's 2D sprites on a 3D level, which looks weird. Underwhelming C-tier game. Really, that's all there is to it. Sonic Blast, oh fuck me. This is F tier, easily. It's impressive at the Game Gear, that's the best and nicest thing I can possibly say about it. It handles like you're underwater constantly. It's slow, painful to look at, it's painful to play, it's vomit-inducingly nauseating screen tearing sometimes as well, and the music is awful. Ugh. Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. It's monotonous. It's got mazes. It's maddeningly boring. E tier. That's literally all I have to say about it. Next. Sonic Classic Collection DS is not actually not a bad compilation game at all. It doesn't have any extras aside from a very small gallery mode with some official artwork from, I want to say Sonic Drift, actually, which was unreleased in the West at the time when this came out, and some other general art for Sonic 1 to 3 you can also see on Classic Collection and stuff, which is nothing new. But it's not terrible. It does get bonus points as it includes the lock-on titles. Knuckles in Sonic 2 as a port, and one of the few releases of the complete Sonic 3 and Knuckles, as well as having both Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles as well as Sonic 1 and 2, all on a handheld system. No Sonic CD though. B tier, not a bad compilation, although I believe it was supposed to have Mean Bean Machine and Flicky's Island and Sonic Spinball, which would have worked great on DS. Those would make really great little DS games if they ever got ports to a system. So, because it's missing those, it doesn't go any higher. Also, this is starting to get a bit crowded now, especially on the B tier section, so I am going to cram... I've shuffled some stuff together. This is also partly me telling me to do this in the edit, so you're getting to hear this as well, because this is entirely unscripted, and I'm making this up as I go along, so that's a joy for you. So some stuff is going to be overlapping and as it's moving around, but because it's going to get quite crowded now, I am just going to find something to represent both Sonic Colors games as one, rather than having two separate things crowding up the tier list. So note to self, do that in the edit. That also explains to you watching this why it may have suddenly changed. Because if you're looking out for consistencies or inconsistencies, I should say, in the video, with things moving around on the tier list, because some people like to point that out and be snarky in the comment section, that's why. And my neighbour is making noise upstairs. I'm hoping that doesn't pick up. It might, actually. Anyway, moving on. Sonic Riders is highly underrated, and I wish more people talked about it. It's another racing game, but you're on hoverboards. Controls are a little bit clunky, but it's pretty good. It's not amazing, and its sequels improve upon it each time, so C tier. Zero Gravity and Free Riders are also C tier, but they go in ascending order because each one gets better than the other. Sonic Gems Collection is not that bad, actually. It's got the same gallery features as Mega Collection, and it completes the other half of what was released at the time in terms of games, with the Game Gear ports and things. And it also includes what I believe is the first port of Sonic the Fighters from arcade, which gives it bonus points. It also has Streets of Rage, but only in the Japanese version. We were stuck with only Vector Man, I believe, in the Western release. So, B tier, because it's losing out on Streets of Rage, and that would be great, honestly. Sonic Heroes is fun, but gimmicky. Its platforming is very awkward sometimes, and the stages, especially that bloody pinball level, are very frustrating. But it's an early 3D platformer, so I get it. Still C tier, though. Sonic Jam is okay. Its hub world is cute. It's got a nice little music, which you're probably hearing me use in this video. I don't actually know what music I'm editing in yet whilst I'm recording this voiceover. Having said that, I'll probably have to do it now I've said that anyway. Sonic Jam, if I remember, isn't an emulator either. They've actually properly ported it to the Sega Saturn. The original 3 games and Sonic and Knuckles, plus it lets you do the lock-on features like Knuckles in Sonic 2, which makes me think, actually, because the DS collection uses the same music as Sonic Jam, that's kind of a port to DS, which is interesting. Anyway, the hub world has mini-missions as well, I believe, like finding tails and collecting certain items and shit. It also lets you play, like, alternative versions of the original games, which are easier, which is unnecessary, but whatever. Other than that, there isn't really much else to say about it, so it's staying in C tier. Sonic Labyrinth, aside from giving me PTSD flashbacks to that stage in Sonic 1, is an irritating isometric puzzle maze platformer with really awful controls. Flicky's Island is also one of those actually, but this is somehow a worse version of that. Stupid level designs, and at points it hurts your eyes, because it gets all flashy and strobes on the special stages, if I remember correctly. Either way, it's D tier. The bottom of D tier for now. It's dangerously close to being E tier. No, actually, no, fuck it, it is E tier. It's awful. Sonic Lost World is Mario Galaxy, but if Mario Galaxy was very underwhelming with Sonic in it instead. The Sinister Six bad guys, or whatever Spider-Man knockoff they're called, are very annoying. They're anticlimactic boss fights, I don't even remember most of their names, and they're very bland personality-wise. This game is D tier, underwhelmingly mediocre. Moving on. Sonic Mania is S tier, no doubts about that. Easily, like, come on. One of the very best Sonic games released in years! It's also like 6 years old now, and it still holds up extremely well. It takes everything that's a joy about the original games, and it just has fun with it. The remix stages are gorgeous, the remix music is incredible, the enhanced second stages of each level are fantastic to play, and it's full of references and Easter eggs, and also like it combines levels in some places. I forgot to mention it in our Let's Play, but you take Mania's Oil Ocean Stage 2, it's filling up with fog and stuff, and you pull those handles down to clear it. That's taken from Sandopolis Zone 2 from Sonic and Knuckles to scare away the ghosts. The detail is also insane, the sprites are lovely. It also brought Ray back from the void, along with Mighty in Mania Plus. And Mania mode itself actually is just really fun to play. Honestly, I just love this game to death. It belongs in S tier for a reason. Mean Bean Machine is Puyo Puyo. It's also the only game that takes place in the adventures of the Sonic the Hedgehog universe, which is kind of cool. Sonic himself actually isn't even in the game at all. I think it's meant to be you playing as him, but it's first person, so you never see him. It's also quite just generally a cute little game. It's one we've also Let's Played on the channel, though there's only one episode. It's a B tier game. I like puzzle games, it's cute. There are infinite other ports of Puyo Puyo, like I mentioned there was a Kirby one which was ported to the SNES at the same time as this came out, as well as just the regular version of Puyo Puyo you could get on all 3 systems and PC, and just, it's a Puyo Puyo clone, but it's fun. I like I say, I like puzzle games. Sonic Mega Collection, I love this little thing. I had Mega Collection Plus for PC, actually. I still have the disc somewhere. It's actually on my bookshelf behind me. Now that I look at it, yeah, it's there. But it doesn't run on anything past Windows Vista, and I haven't worked out how to make it play on Windows 8, which I'm running on at the minute, which is sad. But I'm lumping Mega Collection Plus in here together with it. That doesn't make any sense. I'm putting Plus in with regular Mega Collection. That's what I meant to say. Mega Collection Plus had some extra Game Gear titles on it and a few other things, but those are also on Gems Collection. Both also feature the same gallery with the covers of the Archie comics, which I love. I'm a massive comic nerd, so it's just fun to look at the covers really a lot of the time. Some of the games you have to unlock playing the others, like so many times, but if you're like me, that didn't take long because you played them over and over anyway. A tier. I'm putting it above Sonic Jam even with its hub world because it's got more content and it doesn't have the stupid easier level additions in inverted commas. Also, I've got more nostalgia for it and it's my list and I can do whatever the fuck I want, so that's why I'm putting Origins in A tier alongside it. Contentious, I know, a lot of people don't like it, but that was mostly because of its stupid price and the premium version bullshit. The game itself is solid as a compilation, which it should have been half price and the premium nonsense included as standard. It is worked on by the same crew who did Mania, which is another reason why it's so high. The animations in the cutscenes are beautiful. They're gorgeous. Whilst Anniversary Mode doesn't enhance the games as much, like I've played Sonic 2 so much, I know that game blindfolded. I cannot spot much different other than some slightly enhanced animations and the speed in which those animations play in some places, and maybe the depth of the background and stuff, and it's just more crisp. Other than that, I really cannot spot anything different. The special stages, actually, those are just cleaner all around for all the games on that system. Like, they fixed the UFO minigame for Sonic CD in Sonic Origins, because that ran like shit. But yeah, the enhanced animations and stuff wouldn't be enough to save it from going to C tier, really, but the gorgeous cutscenes, the content you can see in the gallery, including all the Mania shorts, the concept artwork and stuff that nerds like me just love. Mission mode as well adds another level of challenge. Mirror mode and boss rush for replayability. Honestly, it's just alright for me. It gets bonus points for its menu hub as well, acknowledging Sonic Spinball and Flicky's Island, which when we played it made me very happy. But as Spinball takes place in the Saturday morning cartoon continuity, just Sonic the Hedgehog, that raises continuity questions on canon if it's being recognised here in the 2D universe, but I don't want to get into that right now. Sonic R, oh boy. Sonic R everyone likes to shit on, and for good reason. You can beat the game in about half an hour if you can handle its awful controls. It's only got 4 stages, 5 if you include Radiant Emerald, which you unlock by collecting all the hidden Chaos Emeralds in the other 4 stages. The reason why it handles like dog shit is because it's a car game underneath. Sonic handles like a tank because his physics are still that of how a car accelerates and would drift, etc. And with its super tight curves and narrow paths, it just does not handle well as a result. But if you can adapt to that, and you get the right feel for it, it's not awful at all. Some people are amazingly good at it. The stages are not pretty, but the version with its random weather effects is cute and changes how each level plays, which is an improvement over the one which doesn't have the weather effects. I can't remember if that's the PC version or the Saturn now. I think the PC version has the weather effects because the Saturn couldn't handle it. Most people would put this down in D or E tier, but I'm not going to. I'm going to put it in C tier. It's saved by the music. The soundtrack is by TJ Davis, who was a backing vocalist for bloody Gary Newman and the rock group Blur, so... yeah. Sonic Rivals, 2D racing game, and that should kind of sell it really. It's a 2D racer where you collect Pokemon cards to upgrade your abilities like in an RPG. And trust me, when I say Sonic RPG, we'll get to that hot mess later, oh god. But this reintroduces Silver, which is pretty nice. He doesn't see many appearances. Most people also hate him after his first one, which I can understand why. Rivals is not bad, but it's kind of short and it's a bit repetitive. So I'm going to put both rival games in D tier. They aren't pure shit, but they aren't good. Sonic Rush, on the other hand, now this is a gem. Gorgeous little DS title, easily A tier. Good soundtrack, good visuals, Blaze the cat is cool. It doesn't feel gimmicky like most early DS games would. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, the special stages do force you to use the stylus, okay, sure. But you don't feel forced into it. Like, Rush Adventure sadly does do that with its stupid boat mini-games, but they're all unique and different. Like, I don't know what it was, but early DS games loved to just be gimmicky. Like, we've got a touchscreen, you've got a stylus, you've got a microphone, let's just go nuts and force you to use those. Like, Dawn of Sorrow on the Castlevania game on DS. It forces you to use the touchscreen and stuff in the boss fights just because, like, oh, we've got a touchscreen, let's use it, and it's very annoying. So... yeah, Rush Adventure does do that with its boat mini-games. And Rush Adventure actually is also A tier alongside it, because it takes everything Rush has and just kind of builds on it, really. Both use the split screen very well, and the levels just feel good to play. I like exploring the exploring aspect of Rush Adventure with, like, the treasure map, and sure, the different boat mini-games, whilst gimmicky, as you travel between the islands and stuff, you're exploring the tropical setting, and it's very just... it's a fun game. underappreciated pair of games, really. Like I say, both of them are A tier. Sonic Spinball! The other game that follows the cartoon continuity, like I said, the Sat AM morning show with Princess Sally and Antoine and Bonnie Rabbit, etc. It's just a pinball game, but it's a pinball platformer. It's short and actually pretty difficult at times, but again, it's because of its controls, and once you're used to it, it's a lot of fun. The music is incredible. The Mega Drive version is much better than the Game Gear version. Fun fact about this, actually, the Game Gear version has different box art. It features the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon appearance of Robotnik, whilst the Mega Drive uses the game artwork. No idea why. Oh, I'm going to put it in C tier. Sonic the Fighters, the other arcade game on our list, and the first appearance of Bark the Polar Bear, who later ends up in Mania alongside Bean the Dynamite and Fang the Sniper, who kind of became like an evil gang trio in the comics that mirrors Sonic, Knuckles and Tails. It's just a 3D fighting game. It's Virtua Fighter, really. Everyone's got their own moves and their own strengths and stuff, and the arcade mode is generally quite hard. I was never any good at it, but it's pretty cute. Yeah, like I say, it's Virtua Fighter, but with better looking 3D models. Generally, the models look really good. It's B tier, really. It's a B tier title. That's a hard word to say. B tier title. That's what I wanted to say. There we go. Sonic 1, the original bad boy, is a C tier game at best. I have several issues with it, and not just because it's buggy. It's not what it's expected to be. I'm actually working on a video all about Sonic 1 at the moment, but just know that its placement here is for a reason. Is it fun? Yeah. Sometimes it's a frustratingly slow experience. It's not pure shit like some of the stuff on our list, but it's not gold either. But for the first game, I can't be too mean to it. Sonic 2 for the Master System is a totally different game from Sonic 2 for the Mega Drive, and it's actually not that bad. B tier. Yeah, no, I'm going to put it in B tier. It's not terrible. Sonic CD is awful and I hate it. Well, it's not awful, but its physics feel very different from the other three classic games. And its stages, oh my god, they're designed by a coke addict who was blindfolded and told to draw a Dali painting from memory. They're frustrating. Seriously, that's what it feels like. At times, it's nauseating how much it pings you around and how fast it does it. And honestly, I do not have a fun time playing it. The bosses are boring. They also only take like 2 or 3 hits, and half of them you don't even have to fight, you just have to wait out a set of animations. Ugh. I don't like the music, don't like how it looks, sound effects get irritating very quickly. The UFO minigame is awful. The time travel mechanic is cute at first, but it gets annoying, especially when you get interrupted and you lose it, so you can't go back in time to the past or whatever. It goes at the very bottom of C tier, and it's saved from D tier because Metalix exists. Genuinely, I do not like Sonic CD at all. Sonic Chaos, the first portable game for the Game Gear, is kind of cute, actually. Slow frame rate and sometimes frustrating levels aside, it's not a bad game. I'm going to put it next to Sonic 1 in C tier. Oh, and there's a bloody Master System one as well, isn't there? If memory serves, they're pretty much nearly identical, other than obviously the Game Gear being portable and the graphical differences, and I think there's some remix music for a couple of the levels. If memory serves, I think one of the levels is slightly different, but I can't remember which, but other than that, they're pretty much the same game, so we're gonna go in the same slot. I'm not sure which version I'll have put on the list on the graphics, because I'm trying to save space, because as you can tell, it's getting very crowded at this point. I've got a little checked thing in front of me, which I've been keeping track of which ones are going where, and at this point, yeah, it's getting a bit crowded, so I'm probably just going to use the one piece of artwork from now on. And now we come to Sonic 06. Oh boy, this may be what some of you are waiting for. I said it wasn't going in F tier, and I didn't lie to you. It's going in E tier, because the potential of what the game could have been saves it from being an utter tragedy. And some of what there is okay. Mephisto Dark is stupid. Silver's a nice addition to the cast, but he's just Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. Robotnik looks ludicrous, the plot makes no fucking sense, and is so bad It retcons itself out of existence by the end. Seriously, the final act you do prevents any of it from taking place to begin with, making the entire game completely pointless, and therefore it never happens, so it uncanonizes itself. That's a hard word to say, thankfully, by doing that, and the potential of what it could have been is just so frustrating. We can't really know what that was, with the rewrites and the dev team being split in half to make the awful anthology games, because Nintendo were being whiny crybabies, as well as the awful frame rates on the Xbox version, the awful loading times, the glitches which are out of control, and the poor level design in parts. Yeah, it deserves all the shit it gets, and most would put it at the bottom, but I don't think it deserves that because it's not its fault. So it goes just above the bottom as it tried its best with the hand it was dealt, but it's still shit. Sonic Triple Trouble is probably the best game on the Game Gear for Sonic, actually. It's very underrated. It's different too, depending on who you play, if you play as Sonic or as Tails with their abilities and stuff. And they've got cute little unique vehicle things, like, I think Tails is like a submarine and Sonic's got like a hoverboard and things. It deserves its spot in B tier. It's honestly quite nice. Sonic Unleashed, on the other hand, is easily D tier. It's not as bad as Sonic 06, but it's not good. The hybrid... start that sentence again. The hybrid alternating of gameplay styles is irritating. Either stick with one or the other. Don't keep swapping between them because it interrupts the flow of what you're trying to settle into playing. There is only one other game which does that, and that's higher on the tier list for a reason. The music isn't bad though for Sonic Unleashed, I'll give it that. Sonic 8-bit for the Master System. It's almost as good as the 16-bit Sonic, but it's not as good. It's the counterpart to the Mega Drive version. It follows the same story, I think, actually, although I think some of the levels are changed in their names and their appearance and stuff, but story-wise, it follows the same beats. Unlike the 8-bit version of Sonic 2 that has a different story from the main Sonic 2 we all know on the Mega Drive, or the Genesis if you prefer, it goes in D tier, really. It's weaker than its sibling game, but it's not awful. Higher end of D tier at least. It doesn't go right at the bottom, unlike some other things which clearly belong in D tier, like Sonic Unleashed. But yeah, it's not that bad, and my neighbour upstairs has just decided now to start doing stuff really heavily upstairs, so I'm really hoping this doesn't pick up on the microphone. Oh god. So apologies in advance for any background noise for the rest of the video. I have nothing I can do about that because they're doing, it sounds like construction work or something up there. He's been stomping around for the past 5 minutes, but yeah. That's going to be a joy for me to deal with in the edit, potentially, if any of that sound comes through. Or you may not hear it at all, and I sound like a crazy person right now. I don't actually know. I mean, with the edits and stuff that are going into this, and when I say edits that go into this, there's going to be music over the top of it, underneath my voiceover, so most background noise is probably going to be filtered out. Just audio editing things you don't need to know, and I probably presume you don't really care, so moving swiftly onward. Sonic 3 goes right next to Sonic & Knuckles in B tier for much of the same reason. It's just fun. Some amazing levels in the game, aside from Carnival Night Zone. We can just all agree as well that the original version of the music is much better, and Origins not having it was disappointing, but I understand why. Sonic 3 and Knuckles, though, the complete package easily goes into A tier, right at the top of A tier, actually. The complete version is just what's good about these two in one. And as a unique game, as well as the addition of the Super Emeralds and Hyper Sonic, which is a lot of fun to play. You also get Hyper Tails and Hyper Knuckles too, which is cool. It's a fantastic game. One I would love to get around to playing eventually on the channel on Sonic Saturdays, just to show everything off, really, and just have fun, because I enjoy playing it. Sonic 3D Blast Flicky's Islands. Remember everything I said about Labyrinth? Well, it's that, but it's less severe, so it goes in D tier, and the cutscenes are still nightmare fuel. It's a isometric kind of game. It's Marble Madness, but Sonic the Hedgehog. It's okay. Not great, but it's okay. Sonic Boom Fire and Ice is also D tier. It's boring. I'm not a fan of it at all. Mediocre, but it's not as bad as it could have been. I mean, it's better than Shattered Crystal and Rise of Lyric, which also goes in D tier, but below this one. Sonic Forces is shit. E tier next to Sonic 06, easily. Mediocre, repetitive, shitty physics, screen tearing, frame rate drops. The avatar idea is dumb. Ugh, I don't like it. I'm not looking forward to playing this one on the show either, actually, now that I think about it. You may like it, but this is my tier list, so... Sonic Generations is B tier. It's really nice. I like the classic Sonic sections more, they're the best part of the game, with the revisiting of those stages. Although it doesn't quite get the physics right, it's still enjoyable to play. Even the 3D sections are enjoyable to play, really. It's just a nice game that combines the best of both properly, really. I don't mind that this one changes playstyles back and forth like Sonic Unleashed, because it makes sense that it does that, and it's just executed better. Sonic Pocket Adventure is also really underrated, and I do not see people talking about this enough. It's the best elements of the original Mega Drive trilogy. It's kind of a port of Sonic 2 that looks and plays extremely great. Physical copies are really rare and expensive, and I don't know how we're going to be able to play it on Sonic Saturdays on the show, but we'll work it out someday. I don't know if I have a Neo Geo Pocket emulator. I don't know how common those are to find. B tier, though. It's easily B tier. Sonic Pinball Party for the Game Boy Advance is just a pinball game. It has a plot. The plot doesn't matter. It's just a pinball game with a Sonic skin on it. It's not bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's okay. It's alright. I don't mind pinball games. I mean, I grew up playing that space-themed one on Windows. I think a lot of us did, to be honest. So I don't mind pinball games. Type C tier. It's not bad. Sonic Shuffle is a knockoff Mario Party for the Dreamcast, and finding copies of it to play are really rare and very fucking expensive for some reason. At least for European versions. I've seen Japanese versions a lot, but they will not play on my European Dreamcast. And I wanted to play it on the show for literally months. I've been looking for a cheap version. I can't find it anywhere. But it's also just not very good. Like I said, shitty Mario Party. It's D tier. It's just the mechanics are complicated. For how the board and the games work is poorly explained. Most of the games are also not that good either. And even though each character's got like a unique way of moving around the board, it doesn't really affect anything. People call it a crap Mario Party for a reason. Tails Adventure, whilst a bit ugly to look at as a standard game where you just play as Tails, and other than that it's pretty boring and not that interesting. It goes near the bottom of C tier, and its sister game Tails Sky Patrol actually goes in D tier because it's much of the same with worse controls and it's even more boring. Team Sonic Racing, we've played that on the channel and it was a lot of fun. It's the best of the Sonic Racing games so far, so I'm going to put it in B tier actually because it's not that bad. Not bad at all, honestly. And oh my god, Sonic Chronicles Dark Brotherhood. The last game on our list today, and I arguably saved the worst until the very end. I remember being really excited for this when it was coming out, actually. I love the original Final Fantasy a lot. I played that on my NES growing up, and I like RPG games. I'm a Pokemon fangirl, and Sonic getting an RPG was a dream. And this game bombs and did so badly and caused so many legal issues, it traumatized Sega so much they never want to touch one ever again. The cover looks insanely cool. I was hyped, like, do not get me wrong, I was extremely hyped for this. And then you play it. And the combat is fine, the plot is kind of ludicrous, really. The cast of characters you play as is nice, the battles are quite fun, really, but traversing the world is a chore. And it just leaves an unsatisfied feeling in your soul playing it. Especially with its maybe kind of ending, in inverted commas, that never gets any answers or any closure, because it never got a sequel, even though it was setting itself up for one because of what I just said. Yeah, it was the catalyst for killing off the Archie comics, which have now been rebooted into the far superior IDW series anyway. Dark Brotherhood is just bad. It was disappointing. I just bumped my microphone. It was disappointing for me as well, because I was super excited for a Sonic RPG, and now probably that's never going to happen again. It belongs in E tier, and right at the very bottom of it. It doesn't go in F tier, it's not that bad. What there is salvages it slightly. Like I say, the battle system is alright. But good fucking god, was this a letdown. But there we have it. That is every single Sonic game, minus the educational ones, which don't count, and a couple of arcade titles, those endless runner mobile games, like I said at the start. There were some Sonic at the Olympics mobile titles, but those are just the same sports games from the ones we covered, but they don't have Mario in for whatever reason, so it's just Sonic at the Olympic Games, or Sonic at the Winter Games, and I don't know why. Maybe there were some legal issues behind it, but they're just the same minigames, but on mobile, and we already know where those go on the tier list. That was a lot of games covered. Once again, this is my opinion, and I'd love to hear yours, so leave your thoughts and feelings about any of those down in the comment section below. I know you may rank some of these differently, but if you're gonna leave your own thoughts, please be civil and respectful. I'll respect your opinion if you respect mine. And after all, we're all fans here, united by our love of this blue speed freak and his friends. But either way, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to join me today. If you like this video, please do so. And why not consider subscribing for more Sonic content, because I make a lot of that. And if you like Sonic, click here, check out the complete playlist of every Sonic game we've played so far. More will come to it with time, because we're going to play every single game on the channel, so maybe subscribe to see those too. As always, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra for now.